You want to do it, you've heard good things, but you just don't know what's going to happen. Hi, I'm the weight loss champion Chuck Carroll, and I'm talking about going vegan. You've been told your whole life that you need meat for protein, that you need milk for calcium, and without those two things, you may be wondering, can I even be healthy? Well, the truth is you have nothing to worry about. And you're about to learn why as we take a trip into the exam room archives and revisit a conversation with dietitian Lee Crosby. Lee, how are you? Good morning.
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you, Chuck?
I'm doing phenomenal. Now, I brought you in to ask you to go over a very important topic, and that is what to expect when you're expecting to go vegan.
Oh, I love it. Very nice. Very nice.
So obviously, when I made the transition, like my body changed in ways that I just couldn't even fathom was coming. Some good, some bad, but You know what? Once you get to the other side, it's totally worth it.
Absolutely.
And it's really not all that bad. So let's start with the good stuff. So talk to me a little bit about how your body transitions, what you can expect.
Okay. So there are immense benefits to doing this. The first thing you can expect is weight loss. So when you're filling up on things like fruits and vegetables, whole grains, beans, nuts, and seeds, you're going to melt away the pounds without counting calories. So, for instance, when I transitioned, I ended up getting back to my high school weight, and I wasn't really trying. It just happened because a lot of the sort of really calorie-dense stuff just was out of my diet.
Yeah.
So that was kind of nice. And it's not just me. So studies consistently show that vegans do tend to weigh less than omnivores, and that's even accounting for stuff like age, exercise.
Yeah, I thought that I was pretty thin, and I dropped 15 pounds without even thinking about it,
Yeah.
So I went from having lost 265 pounds, now it's 280.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened to my husband. He dropped like 25 pounds.
Yeah.
And he was just doing it to support me. There you go.
Good man.
And his blood pressure dropped too.
Hey,
that was
how about
pretty
that?
great, right?
Knocking out the hypertension.
Yeah. So that tends to happen because I like to look at it that our brains are wired for fiber, and most of the standard American diet, like the SAD diet, is just stripped of fiber. It's either animal products or refined foods. So our stomach doesn't actually know when we're full, and so our brain doesn't get the signal. And so we eat too much. It makes sense, but when we get enough fiber, the brain gets the signal, in a timely manner that, hey, we're full, we're done, got enough.
And it's also good for diabetics, right? Especially if you have type 2.
It's awesome. Yeah. Pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes. It's actually decent for type 1 diabetes. It won't cure it, but the way it potentially can reverse type 2 diabetes. But it is, it actually will lower your blood sugar. And if you're transitioning, it can lower it pretty quickly. So I've talked to people, and they sometimes will have a little bit of going haywire right at the beginning because you're going to increase your carbohydrate intake. But carbohydrates aren't actually the problem with diabetes, and a plant-based diet fixes the underlying problem. So the way I look at it is having diabetes is something akin to having like a nail hammered into your foot. So when you hammer a nail in your foot, that's going to hurt, right?
Yeah.
The symptom is pain, not a good call. So similarly with diabetes, the problem is not the blood sugar, that's the symptom. So the blood sugar is basically like the pain here. But the issue is actually, the nail in this case, is the fat inside muscle cells. And so when you go on a plant-based diet, what happens is the fat inside muscle cells, when you're losing weight, it decreases. But also, vegans in general tend to store less fat inside their muscle cells. And it's not entirely clear why that is. There are some, theories on why that happens. But for both of those reasons, blood sugar can drop, and can drop pretty quickly if you switch over to a plant-based diet. So if you are on medications that lower blood sugar, definitely be in touch with your doctor or healthcare provider before starting this, because you don't want to have lows. And because this diet helps fix the root problem, you may end up needing to decrease your dose of medications or get off of them.
Now, here's a question. You're talking about fat being eliminated from muscle, but I know that especially among athletes, losing muscle mass is also a concern. That's pretty common, I would imagine, as a person loses weight while transitioning to a plant-based diet as well, correct?
Well, they can lose some, and anytime you lose weight, you're going to lose both fat and muscle. The goal is to maintain as much muscle mass as possible while you're doing that. So again, luckily, people have this misconception that plant-based diets don't have protein. Like, where do you get your protein?
Yeah, right.
Like, it's everywhere, all over your plate. It's in everything. So, and again, staying active as you're losing weight can help. But again, that's a bonus. the diet is foundational.
So let's talk about something that I had no idea in the world was coming. I mean, this just came out of left field. My wife and I went vegan at the same time, and that was gas pains. Like let's just
It's a thing.
let's just be honest here. Like, what is that? Because what I've been told is that it has to do with literally the gases inside of your body are changing.
Well, yeah. So it actually has to do with your gut flora. Are you familiar with the fact that you've got this whole little zoo hanging out in your intestines?
I am, and this is a good time to plug an upcoming podcast that is devoted exclusively to gut bacteria. That is literally one of the most viewed pages on PCRM.org.
I am not surprised, honestly. It's a hot topic right now, and for good reason. We didn't even know this menagerie was down there, and all of a sudden now we're hearing that we have the same number of cells inside our gut that happen to be bacterial as we do actual human cells in our whole body. So, I think it deserves merit. And so one of the reasons that you're getting gas in the first place, there are a couple things going on. First, when you go vegan, unless you're drinking Coke and eating Oreos all the time, which most people are not going vegan to get that kind of diet, you're getting a lot more fiber, which is great. Again, it helps you lose weight. It can help lower cholesterol. That's wonderful. But by default, by definition, you don't digest fiber. So that fiber goes down into your large intestine, which is where all those little gut flora guys hang out. And what happens is two things. One, the bad guys, which are the ones that sort of, it's gross. There's no way to say it. They sort of putrefy animal flesh when you eat it. Those guys get voted off the island. So there's already a little kerfuffle happening down there.
We're playing Survivor, are we?
Kind of. And then the other thing is that the good guys who actually can digest fiber, and the result of that can be gas, they have a field day because they haven't gotten what they've wanted for a long time. So while all this adjustment is happening, you get a little bit of gas and bloating. So I could definitely discuss some tips for minimizing that, but it is to be expected.
Yeah, well, I mean, this podcast is tailored toward people who are considering going vegan in the new year. So absolutely. Give me some tips on how they can kind of decrease those symptoms.
Absolutely. So the first thing is to just, some people like to do things 100% on day one, and you can do that, but make sure you're going to be home for a day or two if you want to go that route. Otherwise, easing in, slowly increasing your fiber intake will give your gut flora some time to adjust, and also the bowel walls themselves. Just give everybody a little time. Go gently. So that's the first tip. The second tip, beans. There's a lot of sort of myth versus reality surrounding beans. I don't know. What's your experience eating beans?
They're good for the heart.
And the more you eat, yeah. So they are actually really great for your heart. They're loaded with protein and fiber, all kinds of vitamins and minerals. But they can induce gas. But here's the thing. They've run some studies on this. And as long as you're eating half a cup or less per day, even if you haven't eaten them at all before, the majority of people don't get a noticeable increase in gas.
Right.
So if you're starting with beans, go ahead, have a quarter cup or a half cup a day. You should be okay. For the people that did experience gas, it went away within like 2 weeks to 2 months. It sort of depended on, people's individual biochemistry and the flora that they had. But it's one of those things where if you ease in, you're going to be fine, and most people don't even notice it.
So you said that be home for a day or two. That tells me that there's
if you go 100% all at once.
There's a hardcore route you can go. So like
you could.
If you really go, pardon the pun, cold turkey into being vegan. So you're saying like after a day or two, everything should be eliminated?
No, it's just that first day or two might be a little more, a windier day than others might be. The other thing I couldn't resist. There's so many puns. The other thing you can do, again, is to use some of those transition foods that are a little less intense on the fiber. So instead of going for, a cup of beans on your first day out of the gate, maybe you do some, plant-based crumbles or some tofu dogs. Just, give your body a little bit of an adjustment period.
Ease into it.
Yeah.
And I think that you and I had a conversation one time about frequent trips to the bathroom after this. More frequent. It's not exactly like you have the trots all the time. But certainly an uptick, if you will.
No, and it's a bonus. All right. So again, technical term, you're going to have some improvement in your poop. And that's a great thing. So I was actually, a couple months ago, I was helping teach a workplace nutrition class. And I had someone come up to me after class and pull me aside. And she was kind of blushing and a little embarrassed and talking to me in hushed tones. And I was kind of wondering what was going on. And she pulled me aside and said, I have kind of a personal question to ask. So I'm like, hopefully I can answer it. And it turned out that, she said to me, look, I've kind of switched to this way of eating, and now I'm going to the bathroom like number 2 every day. And I'm thinking, well, great. I would hope you are, maybe twice a day. But when I started thinking about it, and even thinking back in my own experience, when you eat that standard American diet, you may not be going every day or twice a day, and it's going to be hard to go. It's like squeezing rocks out of a toothpaste tube. Sorry, couldn't resist. But when you switch to a vegan diet, again, that fiber helps hold some water. Everything is much softer and easier to pass, and you're going to just have more bulk, which is great because that means going to the bathroom, there's no straining. You're going to go, anything up to 3 times a day is normal.
Wow.
Yeah, so
The trifecta.
there are also people that only go like once a week. That is not normal. But again, you are not likely to have that problem when you switch to a vegan diet.
I can't imagine on the vegan diet once a week.
No, it's great. Honestly, that was, not to get too personal with that, constipation is something I think we all struggle with, and I used to struggle with no more.
Oh, man. Yeah, I used to be a dairy junkie, and that was just no
That's
good.
a no-go.
Yeah, no. Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have put it any better myself. Lee Crosby, thank you very much. I mean, there are so many just other benefits and things that we could talk about here. We could just talk about this stuff
I could
for
honestly
days.
go on all day about this.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No doubt. You are on the Twitter at VeggieQuest, Veggie_Quest,
Yes.
and that is also the name of your website, correct?
Yes, sure is. It's a plant-based blog making healthy plant-based eating easy. So come on over for some great recipes and tips.
Speaking of recipes, we're going to go down on the street here in just a little bit. We're going to give out vegan holiday treats. Here's the thing, though, Lee. We're not going to tell people that they're vegan.
That's right.
We are going to present them with 2 options. We're going to ask them which ones are vegan, and then, of course, they both are. We're just going to blow their mind.
And they're also both made with vegetables.
So to recap, weight loss, that gets a check. Improved diabetes, also a check. Gas, you'll have it at first, but you'll get past it. And constipation becomes a thing of the past. Talking about going to the bathroom up to 3 times a day. Bottom line here, you have nothing to worry about. As a matter of fact, interest in eating a plant-based diet has risen 40% in recent years. Could all those people be wrong? Highly unlikely. If your health IQ is a couple of points higher than it was a few minutes ago, go ahead and like this video or subscribe to the YouTube channel. And to take it even higher, head over to Apple Podcast or wherever you get your favorite shows. Look for The Exam Room by the Physicians Committee. Hit the subscribe button there as well and help to make your world a healthier place.